Hi there, my name is Charlie DeShulo, aka DJ Cheddar, and today I'm with
Something new.
something new. So let's just first off start with that. So what does something new mean? Because I know you go by Marco. That's your name, obviously. So like, what does something new mean?
It means that I'm essentially just doing anything I want at the drop of a hat. That I'm not really limiting myself by either one specific subgenre of rap music or one specific genre of music in general, or I'm kind of just switching around, playing around with sounds, playing around with different tempos, cadences, and pretty much just doing whatever I feel like. No two songs of mine are ever going to be the same.
Well, you call it something new. You're actually not necessarily new at rapping, correct? How long have you been rapping for?
Like 6 years, dude.
Damn, man. So how do you think you've sort of grown and sort of changed in those 6 years?
It's definitely been through like experience, not only in me trying to like perfect my actual craft, but me forcing myself to get out more and really see the Boston music scene for what it is, which is very comforting and very rewarding.
Yeah.
Everyone I've met has been very nice and very opening, and I've learned a lot, not only through watching other people do their things, but in me doing my own things, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. So how did you sort of get into the Boston music scene?
So I feel like initially I just wanted to do something that wasn't just be on SoundCloud. I think it initially started with me putting myself on multiple platforms, because originally I didn't really care. At the end of the day, the music is just meant for me, and if you happen to listen to it, that's cool. If you don't like it, then that's also cool. I don't really care. But I feel like for the amount of effort that I put in regards to actually making the music, I should put as much effort into spreading that music and trying to get other people to listen to it. Or at least, you know, making myself a much more solidified brand or artist.
Okay.
And so I think it started with me going to the open mics down at the Jungle in Somerville. Shout out to those guys. And I just started going week after week after week, just practicing performing, you know, trying to become a little bit more of an orator, you know, trying to get my voice developed, trying to get my energy developed. And I think it worked out really well, because from there I went to like Bridgeside. They were all super nice over there too, and so I was able to practice myself on ciphers, on beats that I normally wouldn't get on, and beats I normally wouldn't consider getting on, but I kind of just threw myself to the wolves, and now I'm just performing every once in a while.
That's awesome, man.
And enjoying the ride.
So I'm just trying to place myself in your shoes, and it just, for me at least, public speaking in, I guess, sort of performing to an extent would be anxiety-provoking, nerve-wracking, and I think a lot of other of my viewers would sort of agree with that. However, I've seen you perform multiple times, and you seem confident, you seem calm. How do you sort of have that attitude? Was that something that like came to you very easily, or was it something that sort of just progressed over the years?
Initially, it was like, because I've always been speaking one way or another. I used to be like in high school, I would be like heads of clubs, so it would force me to talk to other people.
Okay.
It forced me to like generalize what I'm saying, so I can get a better positive outreach towards other people, and at least people would be a little bit more receptive to what I have to say. So I think that kind of etched itself into my performance status, because then when I was doing said open mics at the Jungle initially, it's not like I was like frail and like, but I was like, I would rant every once in a while. I think it was like ranting out of nervousness, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Or something like that, or I would drag on for a little bit, but then I'm like, you wanna know what? I'm here for a reason. I'm here to do this specific thing, and so I might as well just do that specific thing. And so at first, even though I was like, I rehearse constantly, so it's not like I didn't know what I was saying. Initially, I didn't know how to play with audio. I didn't know how to play with my voice without a backing track, so I would always have one of those. And then over the course of time, I was like, you wanna know what? If I'm gonna actually do this, then I might as well put my best foot forward. No backing track, no rant, just go in, hi, this is me, this is what I do. And it'll be mad funny, because I'm like, you wanna know, I just do this because I enjoy it. And then people will come up to me and be like, dude, you did such a great job. You like, whoa, like, how did you do that? I'm like, I was just me.
Yeah.
All I did was just perform the music in the way that I would like to perform it. I did things in the way that I would like it.
So you said that you started off with sort of the ciphers, the freestyles at the Jungle. Do you remember your first one by any chance?
I want to say it was like early last year, maybe in like.
So you've only been doing this for a year?
Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
I get so wrapped up in other things that I'm like, my chronological time clock is like wired.
See, I thought you've been performing for a while now. I didn't know it was only a year.
So like initially, I did perform like very, very scarcely.
Okay.
So like I would have a performance here or there, but that would be like once a year or twice a year.
Okay.
And then I like took a mini hiatus. Well, obviously due to COVID.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but mostly I was just like working and crafting and trying to figure out what I really wanted from this and if I really wanted to continue it at all in the first place. And so then once I saw the opportunity, I was like, well, screw it, I might as well.
So what do you hope to like gain from this? You know, what do you hope to accomplish from this?
Just much more experience in me being able to perform better, me being able to articulate better, me being able to really put the tone that I want to set in. And so far I think I've been doing pretty good on that. I always like want to make sure that the people who I'm performing to really understand what I'm about, how I'm about it, and why I'm like the way that I am.
That makes sense.
You know,
that makes sense.
I'm always like super personal with the audience members so that they understand how much work and how much time I put into the things that I do and that I genuinely care. Because I've seen a lot of people, not to name names obviously, but I've seen people who have these wonderful and beautiful fan bases and they just like, they don't really care as much.
No, I agree.
And again, you know, to each their own. I'm not one to judge. You know, you can do whatever you want, but if I were in that position, I would make sure that I would be putting 150% of myself, you know, just as a form of gratitude.
No, exactly, man. I think this is just me personally, but I feel like sometimes when the artist sort of gets bigger, they sort of forget that these fans are not only the reason that they're in the position, but they're also humans as well.
Exactly.
They sort of just view them as numbers, as streams, not as the actual people. But that's really great that you sort of have this sort of sense of gratitude. But looking back on that, sort of your first cipher in a very long time, about a year ago-ish, looking back on it, what do you sort of either, like, how can you grow from that opportunity, or how do you think you have grown from that? Because, of course, 1 year performing consistently, which you have been doing, shows some great, I don't know, you probably have improved a lot, so looking back on it, what do you sort of remember? What have you improved on?
Basically, I'm my own worst critic.
Okay.
I'm like so hard on myself, but it's only because I want to improve. It's only because I want to do better in not only like musically, but in life.
Of course.
So like, I'll like look back on my performances if someone like happens to record it, and I'll be like, ooh, I didn't like that. Maybe I should like change that, and then I'll like do a trial run at the next performance, and then if it works, then I stick with it, or I tweak upon it. That's what it's all about, really, because it's like the same way that I'm tweaking upon my performance status, and the same way that I'm tweaking my actual like personal like status, because I'm just me. Like I'm just a random guy from Chelsea. You feel me? I'm not gonna be someone else, but I'm a human, you know. I'm a person with like certain flaws and certain characteristics, you know.
Of course, man.
So in tweaking myself, I'm tweaking my performances, and I've also noticed that I've like, even since I started like rapping and writing, because before I was rapping, I was writing, I was doing poetry, writing short stories. You know what I'm saying? I come from a writing background.
Okay.
And so in writing, I would just be tweaking, you know. I would have a full body of work and then I would just pick at it. I always thought of it as like a statue almost, you know, just continuously picking at it until it's something that I'm proud of at the moment.
I didn't know you wrote poetry. Do you still write poetry?
Here and there. I've been trying to blend my poetic stylings into my music, because usually I'll have an instrumental in front of me, and then I kind of just dump whatever I have on my mind on the page. And then over the course of time, while I stitch everything together, make everything sound clear and coherent, have a central idea if I really want one, have a central theme if I really want one, have a central structure if I really want one.
Yeah.
You know, a set of order, you know, come in with a like, little strategy on how I want the song to be presented. Not only audibly, as in like how I want it made in the studio, but then how I want to perform it when I inevitably do.
Okay, so do you perform all of your music, or are there just sort of certain songs that you feel comfortable performing?
At the moment, I'm not doing all of my songs, but I'm trying to break. That's where I am right now. I'm trying to break out of that comfort zone.
Yep.
Because there are songs that I obviously like want to keep there all the time. Like I always have. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a song that I always play last.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and like because it always garners a great reaction. You know, and at that point, the crowd already knows me. The crowd already gets what I'm here to do. So they're like, all right, we're on board. Like, whatever. So I feel like that. I might not necessarily change, but I do want to start going into songs that I wouldn't normally perform, just to see how they sound, see how people react to them, and see how I would react to them when I'm performing. You know?
What do you mean?
As in, like, if I'm performing one song one way, I'm gonna perform a different song a different way almost. Not like an entirely different way, like I'm screaming.
Yeah.
But like it really just depends on what I'm trying to put out and how I'm trying to put it out. So if I'm like talking smack on one song, and then on the next song I'm completely unfamiliar with performing it in general, I'm gonna buckle down and make sure that I can give it the best possible output.
Yeah.
You know, just rehearsing, and then taking all that effort and doing almost like a test trial when I actually do performing it, and then pretty much garnering reactions and seeing how people respond to it. And if people like it, then I'll probably do it again. And even if people don't like it, I might do it again, but just in a different setting.
Yeah. So do you take a lot of audience feedback? So I know you perform a lot. So if, for example, like, I know I saw you very recently at a Hustle Killer show. Let's just say like you performed one of your new songs there, and everyone there was just kind of like not really dancing along to it, not really bumping their heads. Would you have taken that feedback, or would you have just tried it again in a different way? What do you think you would have done in that situation?
I feel like I would have done a little bit of both. I would have definitely taken that in. I was like, all right, maybe people aren't necessarily receptive to that. But then there are other things that you have to consider. It really depends on what venue you're performing for.
Yeah.
Who is your innate audience?
Yeah.
And why are they your audience? Because I'm like an old head, you know. I make what people would consider real hip hop, you know. But like I take a lot of trap elements and influences into what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. So if I feel like people aren't necessarily taking in a certain song, then that's okay, but I'll just make a mental note about that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe I have to put in a different song. And you want to know what people don't necessarily consider? It's the structure of a set.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's like, if you start off super high and then you're just like drowsy for the rest of the time, then you're not really going to get the best possible outcome. You know, it's all about strategy. It's all about how you want to present yourself and when you want to present yourself.
Of course, it's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like a play, for example. You can't just start off like really high and then just drag on, or like a movie. No, exactly. I get what you mean. So as you said before, you said you're sort of like the old head hip hop. You're more of the lyrical side. But you said earlier you come from that sort of like poetry background. Would you ever try to expand into sort of the trap elements or sort of the newer school hip hop, or are you more comfortable? Do you prefer just the old head hip hop?
I'm definitely trying to break out of that shell.
Okay.
I've been doing it pretty well because I'm like forcing myself to get into different types of hip hop subgenres for now. I've been working with trap, and I'm trying to get into melodics, although that's just not something that I'm fully comfortable with at the moment.
Yeah.
But I know that if I'm going to be comfortable with that, I have to just throw myself out there.
Okay.
I just have to put myself in that position.
When looking at your own music, who do you think are some of your biggest influences?
Oh God. I feel like my biggest influences are my top 5, but I take a lot of influences from others. So like my top 5 in no particular order, and it's gonna be like, yeah, well, we listen to your music. No duh, these are your influences. But it's definitely Eminem, Kanye West, Jay-Z. And then for the curveballs, it's Earl Sweatshirt and Capital Steez of Pro Era. Rest in peace.
Oh, wow. I've never really heard Capital C's in top 5, but totally deserving, man. Totally deserving.
He's like, definitely in my top 5 for his charismatic nature, for the bookworm, articulate nature of his lyricism, to being how real he is about his life and his experiences. I really messed with that heavy when I was younger, and so I kind of resonated that into how I rap and how I do things.
Yeah. Honestly, I can kind of see sort of the similar themes between your music and his. So you pull a lot from your life. I listened to your album. I think it was called A Destruction, right?
Oh, a demonstration.
A Demonstration. My bad. Demonstration. And there were a lot of parts that sort of felt sort of semi-autobiographical. Is it hard, sort of pulling from your own life into putting it into music?
Not necessarily. At this point, not. But when I initially made that in like 2018, 2019, it probably was harder to do so because I just wasn't used to accompanying it with music. Okay. I was just used to writing it.
Yeah, of course.
Writing it down on paper. But now it's just like a no-brainer. Now it's just something that I do.
So that's good that you feel comfortable with it. A lot of people find it kind of challenging to put their sort of emotions into the world like that. Mm-hmm. That's great that you do that. Looking ahead 3 years, where do you see your music?
Where do I see my music? I feel like I would be in a similar position where I am now, just doing bigger things with bigger numbers.
Okay.
Really? Because I don't see myself really alternating from me talking about my life.
Okay.
And talking about my own experiences, because it's like, not only is it like most of the things that I have, that I can really base my music off of. It's cool to be in other people's shoes, and I feel like maybe I could be better at that. I could be really better at that, but that's only if I want to do that. If I choose to fully develop in their area. Yeah. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm gonna try to at some point.
Yeah.
Just so that I can, work my way around it, see what it's like. But at the end of the day, it's just me. I just live my life. I live with my girlfriend and my cat.
It sounds like the vibe, honestly. It really does. Yeah, no, I know a lot of artists that are even local to here, and they talk about having Lambos, and it's like, bro, you're probably eating ramen for lunch,
Exactly.
Which is I don't know why you're lying on the mic, but
and it's not like I don't get that.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's your music, do what you want, do what makes you happy, So, and if you want to just lie on a bunch of songs, dude, as long as you enjoy it and it's not hurting anyone, who cares, But I'm just I'm just not.
You don't see the point of that.
At least for me, I don't see the point of it for me.
Yeah, for you, yeah, exactly. So, are you local to Massachusetts? Have you always lived in Massachusetts, or are you from here?
Yeah, definitely.
So you've been in the Boston scene for a minute now.
Yeah.
For a little bit. What are your sort of just general thoughts on the Boston or just Massachusetts music scene?
I feel like there's been a slanderous stigma in regards to everyone hating one another, or at least in the more local scene that I've been in. Down here, everyone's really nice to each other.
Yeah.
Everyone's really welcoming. And if people have problems, they just don't talk to each other. They just don't really integrate with one another. Everyone's very peaceful. As far but this is only my experience though. Yeah. So someone else could have a completely different set of experiences and have a completely different say. But as far as from what I've been able to see, everyone has been very nice and everyone has been very welcoming. We learn from one another through our own performances, through sharing each other our songs, through just talking, Just there are so many times where I'll see an artist just walking around and we just have we just kick it for 2 or 3 minutes and then we go and live our own way, We're just normal people. We just happen to make our own art in a different way.
I totally agree with that. This is just my personal experience, but I've only been in the scene for a little bit, doing my radio show, my interviews. But everyone honestly seems friendly, not only with myself, but with one another, at least on the outside, Of course, I don't know the inner workings of it, but just on the outside at all these shows, they're super friendly with one another and they're always supportive. And I kind of like that vibe. I like that energy. So you said there was sort of just two different, there are sort of the more popular artists from Massachusetts, then there's sort of the more local scene, and you're part of the more local scene. Everyone, or at least the majority of people, want to get to that other level. So how do you think you and sort of some of the other Massachusetts artists in that local scene can sort of transcend into that upper?
I think it's kind of there's no one way to do it, as far as I've been able to see.
Yeah.
Like, one way that I usually see is just by monetizing your music, constant use of posting and pretty much presenting yourself, promotionals and whatnot, and making sure that you just do everything you can to put yourself out there, you know.
Yeah.
And that, you'd be surprised, but it costs a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Because people forget how easily that music is a business. It's an investment.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an investment if that's what you want. As in, if you really want the best possible outcome, if you want the highest chances of success, you have to put at least like a couple grand in. You know, however, I have to live. I gotta eat. I have a cat to feed. You feel me? We need to put food on the table. But it doesn't mean that I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just more local, and I'm just much more smaller scale. You know, I'll be on Instagram, I'll be on Facebook, just hitting up a whole bunch of random people. And, you know, most of the times I don't really get a response back, but sometimes I do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like applying for jobs, or it's like applying for colleges.
Okay.
You know, you put out as much as humanly possible and expect a tiny little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I can even I feel the same way sort of like with my interviewing skills, for example. You know, I hit up a ton of artists, and if I get 2 or 3 responses, I'm actually pretty happy with that.
It's better than nothing.
Exactly. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that I get. Did you know that it was going to be a business when you first entered the music scene?
When I first started making music, I understood that, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it, because I wasn't expecting to get to this point.
Yeah.
To be frank. Like, I was just expecting to put my stuff on SoundCloud, and if people, you know, same ideology, if people listen to it, they can, and if people don't want to, then they won't. But now it's like things have only changed in regards to how I'm presenting myself and what I'm doing, you know, being much more active with inside the music scene and community, and trying to put out as much shows as humanly possible, and trying to promote myself as much as humanly possible, and trying to gain as much outreach as humanly possible.
So do you even want to get to that level? Like, some people are really happy with just sort of staying in the local scene. You know, you can do this as it's sort of like more for fun, but some people really want to take this seriously. They want to just put their entire blood, sweat, and tears into their music. What do you want to do?
I feel like, theoretically speaking, I could. If I really wanted to, I feel like I would be very successful in articulating how much I want to put myself into the mainstream era, and pretty much going everything at full stops. And I kind of did for a little bit.
Yeah.
Last year, I was kind of focused on, while I was taking classes here and there, but I was still focused on just playlisting and monetization and getting money for my music. And but at that same time, I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
You feel me? So if I were in a perfect world, if I were in a place of consistent financial stability in which I can just spend all my time doing it, maybe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, me having to pay for things has kind of humbled me in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's like I kind of forget the things around me, because I'm so tunnel visioned inside this music and trying to be successful and trying to gain as much of an audience as possible, where I don't really need that, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you just have to stop and just enjoy the little things.
Exactly, you know, enjoy the fact that I'm even able to do the things that I do, you know?
Exactly.
And enjoy the fact that I'm able to come as far as I have because of it, because of me, spitting freestyles in my attic.
So music is great, and I love talking about music, but like, we all, you know, have vices and sort of other hobbies and stuff that we enjoy. So what are some of those for you?
I like to read.
Okay.
I read a lot of manga because I'm weeaboo trash. I play video games because I just haven't grown out of it. And I like the new way that games are being developed.
What do you mean?
Like, I like how games are being pointed in the direction of like not only looking better, but having better stories and being much more articulate, being much more invested with the people who you're playing as. Because at the end of the day, it's just writing. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't have a good game without decent writing.
Of course.
You know?
What are some of your favorite games of all time?
So my favorite game franchise of all time, and it still is And there's gonna be a new one, if not coming out this year, then next year. But God of War has been like the top one for me.
Nice,
personally.
man. I love God of War. I'm a huge God of War guy. Are you a fan of the original trilogy or just the new one or both?
I have been a fan of the original trilogy, but I'm so glad and I'm happy with how this one came out, the more recent one came
same.
out. And I'm really pumped to see how the next one comes out.
I feel you. I love the story of the new one. I honestly prefer the gameplay of like God of War 2 and 3, but the new one, the story is just amazing.
Exactly. You see what I mean? Like, it all comes back to writing. It all comes back to like having people that you care about do things, you know, live experiences. And I feel like in a way I'm kind of like that from just everyday people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm just an everyday person. I'm not a gangbanger. I'm not I don't shoot people. You feel me? If I did, I wouldn't say anything about it. But like,
no self-snitching on DJ Cheddar's show. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. But like, you feel me? I just I go to work. I come back home. I help my girlfriend cook. I pet my cat.
You cook?
Yeah, here and there. Yeah, I'm much more of a breakfast guy.
Really? What's your favorite breakfast food?
Oh God, I'd kill for an egg sandwich, like a real good egg sandwich. We had one earlier today, so that's like satiated at the moment. But I love.
You can never go wrong with an egg sandwich.
You really can't. The other day, I think yesterday, we had French toast.
Oh, nice,
we were like,
nice. I haven't had French toast in a very long time, but
You should.
sandwiches, man, like I make them all the time. Super easy to make, delicious. Goes down too easily. so at a time that storytelling element of video games and music or video games and manga back to sort of your music, do you think your love of storytelling is sort of why you got into music, or is that just a fun little extra perk?
I feel like it's just a fun little extra perk. I feel like it just happens to coincide with me being super autobiographical.
Okay.
At the same time, it just happened to happen.
Yeah. Just
You know?
kind of linked together. No, I feel you.
But it wasn't like the initial source of inspiration for me. Because at first I wanted to be an artist. I used to draw a lot.
Really? Do you still?
Not as frequently, but here and there, very rarely. But so now over the course of time, I've been able to appreciate things from my adolescence more.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a closer look at things that I would really initially look at as a kid and be like, I didn't really think about that because I wouldn't have thought outside the box like that, like the way that I would now.
Can you give me an example?
Like one that I initially one that comes at the top of my head is like SpongeBob episodes. There's so many hidden jokes and just simple things of nuance in there that you wouldn't initially get as a kid, but it's like, you want to know what? Damn, it was actually written pretty good. It was actually pretty funny.
No, I feel that. I mean, looking back, I'm only 20, but sort of looking back, we were talking earlier about Adventure Time. I never gave it a shot as a kid. I was sort of aging out of Cartoon Network, and I was like, nah, that show is trash. But then go back to it, and I'm like, damn, this writing is really good. It's fire. So I get what you mean.
That same approach that I have towards other outlets of media, I've taken towards music as a result of not only making but listening to music. So initially, I used to have a big old head mentality. I used to be like, oh man, I hate little whatever, man, I hate that. But now I like every single chance I get, I play at least 4 Lil Uzi songs before I leave the house.
Wow.
Just to be all right, I'm psyched up, I'm ready to go. Because there's so many different things that one wouldn't really take into consideration when making these things, when making music, or when listening to music, matter of fact. Because people can be like, oh, it's just mumble rap, bada bada bing, bada bada boom. But it's there's so much more. There's so much more to that.
Exactly. There's more to it, and it's also clearly resonating with the audiences as well. But that's great that you're sort of expanding. A lot of people sort of find it hard to sort of leave their comfort zone when it comes to music, because at the end of the day, we only have so many hours of the day to listen to music. You can't be always listening to stuff you don't really like. But I didn't know that you were an artist before. Have you ever thought about sort of incorporating your art into your music, sort of either for album covers, for music videos, for promotion, flyers, etc.?
Maybe if I had a lot more time, I would.
Yeah.
But my intrigue for art has kind of twisted in with it in a way, because initially when I started dropping things on all different types of platforms, I would just put a bunch of manga panels of things that I would be reading at the time. I think Brioche Bun is the cover is made from I think it's from a Jujutsu Kaisen panel.
Okay.
You know, I know Will to Live is a Jujutsu Kaisen panel. No, Brioche Bun is a One Punch Man panel, but
Really?
it was
Okay.
made by One. It was drawn by One, the guy who made the story for it as well.
Okay.
Before it was like restylized and everything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's like there was I think there was another one that's made from a Tower of God panel.
Okay.
That I had, and then
That's really cool that you kind of incorporate your manga into your music, man.
you know.
You love it. Like I don't know. I don't know a lot of artists that sort of incorporate sort of like their outside passions into their music, but that's really cool, man. I like it, man.
That's the thing that I'm trying to like slowly, and it sucks because it's so cool, but I'm trying to slowly like branch out of it so that I can make like more abstract and more stylized covers that kind of suit the song in hand. I feel like if I don't step out of that comfort zone, then I'm just gonna stay stagnant in that. And while that is cool, at some point I'm gonna have to write emails to the people at Viz, you know.
Yeah.
especially if something happens and it blows up, you know. Then
Exactly.
I don't want to face any lawsuits, or you know. I gotta.
No, exactly. You don't want to have to worry about the copyright laws
For
and
real.
all that stuff. Yeah. So I guess having your own sort of just like cover arts or samples or whatever. I don't know if you ever like take stuff from other music. Well, actually, on your newest album, you have a Queen cover. So, or you rap over a Queen beat, which is fire. Don't get me wrong.
No, definitely. Fun fact on the Flambé demonstration demo, like track number 6 was called Pepperoni Playboy, and it was made with the instrumental from Mac DeMarco's Pepperoni Playboy.
Okay.
But I wasn't able to put it on
Because of sample clearances.
because it pretty much just ripped his vocals out. It was just an instrumental. That's what
Yeah,
this song
yeah,
was.
yeah.
It was just an instrumental. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna rap over that. Screw it. But so some things I can get away with, other things I can't.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it doesn't continually persist in me dropping things going forward. However, at that same time, I needed to understand the fine line of what I can do and what I can't do.
Yeah. What line you can cross, what line you can't.
Exactly.
That honestly sounds kind of fire. Who's your dream collabs?
I would kill to get an Earl feature.
Yeah.
Or be on an Earl. It would be better if I was on an Earl song, because like I feel like with features, I'm in someone else's territory almost. Like I'm on someone else's playing field.
Yep.
So I just have to adjust.
Yeah.
As opposed to me having a feature where it's something that I'm normally used to, and they just have to like keep up with me, which is cool, but I would rather be like challenged. I would rather be put on the grind and be like, all right, I have to adapt, or it's gonna sound like trash, you know?
Yeah.
So if I were to be on a Capital Steez or on an Earl song, that'd be crazy. That would be, I would be cool. If I can get some Kanye production, man,
That'd be
if I get a
fire,
song
man.
with Jay-Z, if I can get anyone, honestly, if I can get anything with anyone on my top 5, I'd be content. I could die tomorrow, and I'll be like, I did.
You
My
did it, man.
purpose
You
is
did it.
fulfilled. I've done it. I've made it.
Yeah. No.
Two clicks on SoundCloud. I'm like, oh, my life's work.
Bro, like, I don't even make music, man, but I would love to be on some of my top 5s are like music. They're just sampling some DJ Cheddar. That'd be awesome. But have you ever thought about sort of making that sort of abstract hip hop that Earl does? Because Earl has sort of like, he used to be like very lyrical heavy, not necessarily lyrical heavy, but kind of. But then like in his more recent stuff, like Sick, some rap songs, like he's more abstract. I personally like that side better, but that's just my own personal opinion. But have you ever thought about sort of like making that style? Like I know it's like weird, it's harder to an extent because you have to worry about the production. But have you ever thought about it?
Yes. So I have been doing that as of my most recent things that I've been making.
Okay.
But that's mostly within my cadence and my approach
Yeah.
to a song in regards to its composition.
Okay.
You know, because he's very folkloric almost. And I could do that, but I want it to be in a way that's authentic to me.
Yeah.
And I want it to be in a way that it would be, I'm actually saying something, you know? So in the things that I'm making recently, I have done that, while at the same time pertaining to my roots, not only like musically, but artistically.
Okay.
As in, like, just staying very self-reflective and just talking about my everyday experiences. So, yes and no, as in, it's things that I have done, and it's things that I want to continue doing, but I feel like I won't get that far unless I, like, force myself to do it. I inevitably, because I have this stuff, I just haven't prepped it.
Yeah.
I want to start getting into engineering, so that I can make my own things, so that I can get as abstract as humanly possible.
So you don't do the engineering and producing right now?
I do not. I've just been super hard focused on writing.
Okay.
And writing well.
Yeah.
And I think, given what I've been able to do, it's not like I'm necessarily going to drop writing, but at some point I do want to put aside my writings, or at least not focused on writing as much, so that I can engineer, so that I can make my own things.
Okay.
You know, it's, even though I'm conflicted at times, because I love working with other people. I love being able to get a random beat from one of my friends, and they'd be like, do this, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, you know? But at the same time, I'm compelled to make some stuff for me.
Yeah, of course.
I want to get crazy. I want to get nutty. I want to be as weird as possible.
That's actually a good goal to have, honestly, man. Like, yeah, when you're working just by yourself and you're making the beats and you're engineering it, you have free control. You know, you can mix and master it how you want to. Have you started dabbling it yet, or is this something just you're going to try and plan for the future?
Something that I'm going to plan for the future, but for the past couple of years, I have been paying attention very, very closely to what my engineers have been doing, because I'm very nomadic when it comes to studios.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's someone who I'm comfortable with, and it's someone who understands my voice and pretty much how to mix and master it, then that's cool. But I always keep a close eye on what they're doing, and I always ask questions. I'm so annoying. If you get me in the booth, I'm like the most annoying person there, because I'm asking questions, and I'm like, what does this do? Do you pull it up? Do you turn it? You know, but it's all in the the purpose of education. It's all in the purpose of trying to understand things more, so that in the future I could just be able to just do it. There was actually at one time in like maybe 2017, I downloaded Audacity onto my Mac, and I like tried to like put stuff on there. I tried to make a song, and so I put a beat, a pretty good beat too. I was really upset because I could have just kept that beat for something else. I made a song, like technically mixed and mastered, quote unquote, but nothing was mixed, nothing was mastered. I literally just slapped a beat. I didn't even have a microphone. I had like PlayStation headphones. I don't know if you ever known it, but it's like the mono headphone with a little bit of a mic. I had no business doing that. Like, and so I'm just like...
Is it still out there?
Yo, it's on my SoundCloud.
What's it called?
It's called My Frustrations with Audacity.
I might be playing that on the air.
I'll play it for you right now. Like,
that's
so
that is actually funny. That's the funniest story, man. A PlayStation microphone. I think the only thing would be worse, like if you had just took the Mac and just like put that
oh my
your
god!
face.
Like I thought about it. I like watched like 27 seconds of a tutorial video, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'll learn it. I'm the greatest. Like I can do it. I'm like 18.
Bro, that is literally mad funny.
It is very funny.
What's next for you, man? So I know like you're getting into mixing and mastering, but what else is next for you? What's next for your career? What music are you planning on dropping?
I have to drop a single very soon. I'm just waiting for cover art on that. I plan to drop a tape very soon because I have the cover art for that.
Let's go.
And so now right now in the midst of performing and writing. I'm trying to figure out how I want this presented and promoted. Okay. Because it's all me.
Yep.
It's all me doing it. And obviously I have friends who could help me do it, and I might enlist their assistance, you know? But I kind of just want to do it from the ground up, see what I can get, and see what happens.